Welcome to another Good Dads podcast. I am Jay Foch alongside Scott Lewis.
Nice to meet you.
We appreciate you being here, even with your leg, which is that's it's all right. I'm glad we're sitting, and not running during. But we can if we can make it happen. I think
afterwards.
We maybe so.
Listen, it's indestructible, so I can maybe like kick you out of the way.
Okay, I need a good kick. I'm not gonna lie. We welcome Rudy Martinez today, of course, manager at the Missouri Department of Conservation. You've been involved with the Conservation Nature Center for 25 years, and we'll get into more of that. But we always like to ask the dad questions, and says, good dads, you have 2 teenage sons. Is that right?
Yes, they're both teenagers, and one's getting ready to go off to college in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of scary.
Are you okay?
Probably.
Do you want to
No,
talk?
I'm not.
Do you want
I
to
do
talk
wanna
about?
Is he saying local or going really far away?
It's kind of local, Pitt State in Pittsburgh, Kansas. So it's only a couple hours away, which is not, I like
it's a
it.
good, happy middle, you know?
It is, yeah.
Enough to get away and kind of start living off on your own.
But he can still visit on the weekends when he has to bring all of his dirty laundry back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or if he needs food to bring back home.
That's what I'm worried about, if he's getting enough food. I mean, I could.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you work at the Nature Center, so couldn't you, snap off a couple of deers? Oh, you probably, no, that is a, edit that. No, I'm just kidding.
He does love his venison. I mean, he goes through it like candy.
Absolutely. And tell us about your other son, Rudy.
And my other son is 15, learning how to drive right now. So
there's a lot of stressful moments in your life right now, man.
I could go on and on, but he's his thing is soccer. He loves to play soccer practically year round, and he's a runner as well. We're just a running family. I mean, just the true sport of running, but I mean, we're always running from one thing to the next. So that's our lives.
Well, yeah, I would imagine.
And then squeezing everything else in between, all the, teenagers, they're busy with their lives, and we still try to keep things, toned down to where we still have our family time doing different activities. So it's a little bit more stressful to schedule some of those things, but we still get out and do things. So, yeah.
Now, what is your role at the Nature Center exactly? Now, we say manager, but what is exactly like your day-to-day? What does that look like for those who are wondering?
So, yes. So at the Nature Center as the manager, I'm involved in a lot of different things. And the best thing I like about my job is that it is different every day. So like today, look where I'm at. So, but it really is
not in nature.
But
there's some plants back there.
There are. I saw those. And, but I do a lot of administrative work and scheduling and planning the various programs, because we have actually like over 250 to 300 programs that we do every year for the public, but also for organized groups like school groups. So there's a lot of details that go into, a few hundred programs every year. But we also have the trails, about 3 miles worth of trails, which require a lot of upkeep and maintenance. So, there's things that we have to consider on a day-to-day basis. So this time of year, do the growing season, we've had a lot of rain this summer, and the growth in the weeds and grasses is tremendous. So we have to keep up with the mowing along the trails, hazardous trees after storms, we constantly monitoring that. And it really is a team effort. So we all wear multiple hats. We help our maintenance crew. We help with, different projects. I help with different programs. So there's always different things going on. We have visitors, day-to-day visitors coming in, asking things about not just nature, but, things going on in town. So, we're always visiting with folks. The World Cup this year, we saw visitors from all over the world, which was fascinating. So, and then we get to learn about their culture and their countries as well. So
that's awesome.
I'm just thinking
it's very different
off the top of my head here. And maybe you weren't in the region, but we had a really bad hailstorm. Did that mess you guys up at all? Or
we were very lucky in the sense that it was a little bit more isolated northern Missouri, northern Springfield anyways. So we didn't have much impact
Okay.
on that south side of town.
It's a beautiful facility. I mean, it is just, I know Scott hasn't been walking the trails lately with that boot, maybe limping the trails. I don't know. I mean, some of those are pretty hilly, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
so, and it's a good workout.
They are. And when people ask about the trails, the boardwalk trails, a third of a mile, our most popular trail. But I always give people a heads up. It's initially you're going downhill down to the creek bottomland where, there's a lot more wildlife and vegetation, things to look at. But you got to come back up that hill. And that gets people every time.
Yeah, it doesn't seem nearly as big or long when you're going down.
Right.
And then you go,
Yeah. Indeed.
So with the teenage sons, and I know you do so many different age groups and so many, different school events that you were talking about. How do you, I'll start with this question. How do you particularly get teenage people into kind of outdoor? Because that's been kind of our series on getting kids and families outside and getting that fresh air and experiencing something else than screen time, which is always something that comes up in our podcasts. Sure. Not to say that, you don't want zero of it, but, to kind of limit it a little bit of balance. Yeah. How teenage specifically, like, I don't know how you've been through that with your boys. Like, how do you make that appealing, or do you not, or is it organic?
So with teenagers, I'll be honest, it's a struggle. And every parent who has teenagers knows it is to, have activities that involve the family or just pulling kids away from their social life or whether it's a screen time. It's a huge challenge to get them away from those things because, their world is expanding every day, especially as they become teenagers. Yeah. And to get them involved in, what I love to do is, different nature related activities. Even with my two boys, I see that as when they hit those teenage years, it was like their world opened up to so many different things. And now I'm competing with all these other things. And so I have to be strategic and drawing them in to the things that we all grew up, my family grew up doing, meaning my immediate family with my kids. Because our boys grew up doing the things I love to do. But as soon as they hit those teenage years, with school, extracurricular activities, I'm competing with their time now. Yeah. So it's very much so a challenge. But yet we still do a lot of those things. And my older son, for example, who's going off to college, he is so passionate about fishing. He seeks out those opportunities on his own because he loves to do those things, which is great. I mean, I just love that. I think he loves to fish more than I do, which is hard to believe. But that's one thing that he and I have together. That's our really strong bond. My younger son, he's not into fishing as much. He'll occasionally do it. But if I can invite one of his friends or he invites one of his friends to come along, he's more apt to do those type of things.
So you can talk.
Yeah.
Talk to that other person.
He's a talker. He loves the social. It's very social. He is. And
hey, some good conversation comes when you're fishing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really. That's what I mean. Like, especially if you're not getting any bites and you start, I don't know if you guys have been with some buddies and you start telling stories or like start asking just philosophy in general, like you're waiting for the fish to bite. And, there's some really good conversations that come about.
That's just true in camping and nature in general.
Sure.
There's so many less distractions, right? Yeah. And you're just have time to just sit and think. And the current world lets you no time to think. Right. If you're not constantly doing something, you're wasting time, right? Yeah. That's just not true. I mean, you can be out in nature, sitting by a fire pit. That's one of my favorite things.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, it's kind of hot right now, but fall, oh man, you cannot be on fire.
Really? You're not making a fire outside and under degree humidity? So.
but you're right. That's one of the huge benefits of spending time outside because, there's so many benefits, but one of them, it does allow us to kind of step back from our day-to-day lives, the screen time, and really allow us to think, and with whoever's around us, those, like you were saying, some of those conversations that we normally don't talk about out loud, we have time now, where, we let our guards down and we tend to open up a little bit more to whoever might be around us.
Kind of formulating our own thoughts and instead of letting the world to kind of bring those thoughts to you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to confuse anything because I know that there are, teenage kids or kids in general that are really into, electronics or maybe they're more engineered mind or gaming. That's fine. That's not, I don't think that's what we're saying. I think that, but what we have said about, getting outside and nature a little bit, that it is natural medicine. It is. So even if you're, someone who says, well, I don't like nature, or I don't like being around animals, or that's not my thing. Well, that's okay.
Yes.
Like you said, like, oh, bring a buddy or bring something that would make you feel comfortable. I know years ago, Pokemon Go was a thing where it was bringing people out somewhere. I mean, there's probably mixed debates on that and I won't get into it, but at least it got people outside that would normally maybe not go outside. But I think that's kind of what we've been saying about, experiencing nature is that natural medicine and endorphins that it does give you that we can't really explain how it does, but it does.
But it does. Yep. Yes. And like you said, like the Pokemon Go, I mean, there's other ways too, where you can spend time outside and still use some of those electronics, for example, to assist you.
Yeah.
For example, so a good example is birders, the whole birding community. There's this app called Merlin, and it will identify birds for you just by sound.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
you're Shazamming birds.
You collect.
Yes.
Like, do you?
Well, you can do that. So the moment you could do it right here, as soon as you step outside to your next appointment, you pull it up, hit record, and from the time you leave the building to your vehicle, it will catch and identify any bird that's singing, and you can look. Oh, I just heard a house sparrow. Chimney swift, things like that. It'll identify them right there. Then you'll stop and notice, and you pay attention to what you're hearing.
That's awesome.
And you start looking around.
Yeah.
So it's an easy way.
It's called Merlin.
Merlin.
Like the wizard?
Yes, like the wizard.
Okay.
It's an easy way
great.
to segue into nature.
I've heard about the app that you do plants. Or like different flowers.
Seek and iNaturalist. Both
I've heard about
plants.
that, which is really cool. But I've never heard about the bird thing. So that's a really interesting way. And once again, we're not trying to trick kids on going out to nature.
But it's a way to tie in their passions.
Sure, yeah.
Or like I was like that when I was younger. I was more the technology kid. I still am. I like tinkering. I like building stuff. But I wouldn't have known that until I went to the first national park that I went to, or state park, I guess. It was the George Washington Carver. And I didn't realize how much like I could learn from that. And ever since then, I've been like, this has so much to offer. Yeah. I just love it now.
No, there are still some events and different things that you guys have going on at the Nature Center to wrap up the summer into the school year, because around here in the Ozarks, I don't know if you notice it, school's starting a little later, a little bit closer to Labor Day. So you almost have an extra full month of summer. This Good Dads podcast is brought to you in part by our generous supporters. This week, we'd like to thank the following: Prime Inc., Table Rock Shores, Dr. and Mrs. Benji and Lori Lambert, Flint Rock Home Builders, Han DeBuff Government Relations, Midmo Bank, Pinnacle Consulting, CPAs, Pinnacle Family Advisors, Central Assembly, D&E Plumbing, Springfield Sign, Mr. and Mrs. Bob and Susan Biney. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Visit our website at gooddads.com to learn how to contribute to the Good Dads mission.
That's right. And in July, we've noticed over the years, we tend to see more of what we call staycations. So many families have already done their family vacations, and usually like the second half of July, we're seeing more families just walking in looking for things to do. So we try to offer a few more family-oriented programs the end of July where people can get involved in certain things. For example, today we have our conservation teens. They're going to like a crystal clear looking creek to go snorkeling. There's about 15 of them that went snorkeling today with two of our naturalists. So they're spending out time outside. July, it's hot. Introduce an aquatic resource. There you go. Stay cool. Snorkel, awesome. Look for aquatic insects and fish underwater. Yeah. So that's going on today. Last week we had a couple other things going on. We had a discovery table all week on turtles, with an activity so people could learn about the turtles that we have around here. Younger kids could make these different activities to take home with them. And then next month, we have our annual special event called Insectorama, which I don't know who likes it more, the staff and volunteers or the public, because we get a little nerdy about insects there. So we love hosting this event, and it's all about insects. And we have games, crafts going on inside the building, outside the building. And then in the classrooms, we have 15 to 20 tables where people can see live insects that are found around here. And insects are so interesting because we as humans gather information such as engineering ideas, technological ideas from insects.
Yeah, design ideas.
Because they are, the structures that they make, how they travel, how they cling to things. I mean, they're so interesting. So we have just, all kinds of insects there. And in fact, in the live ones, along with some insect collections, along with some partners like some professors from MSU come out, and they'll have their insect displays as well, where Dr. Barnhart brings live all three stages of some of the silk moths, which are giant moths like Polyphemus, Cecropia moths, Luna moths, that you're starting to see this time of year. They are. Yeah. And he will give out things like caterpillars or the eggs to where families can rear them at home and see all the life stages and release them when they emerge.
That's awesome.
Into their little brother's room.
Yeah.
Sisters or, whatever. So, okay. With insects, and I don't even know if technically a tick is an insect, but the reason I bring this up is not to, put that fear out there, but I think it's almost kind of like the elephant in the room or the tick in the room, if you will. Safety on tick, because it seems like it hits news feeds at least a couple times a week, a handful of times a week, especially in this area. Do you have any kind of 101s for us with ticks, or what to look for, what to be careful of?
Yes. So anytime you're out in nature, obviously safety should be, in the forefront, and think about it ahead of time before you go out into the field. Dress accordingly. So for example, this time of year, it's hot. Obviously, you don't necessarily want to wear pants, even if you're, say, off trail. Say you go to Busick State Forest and you go off trail, which you're allowed to do there, and start exploring different things. You can still wear shorts. In fact, I think it's easier to find ticks that might fall onto you while you're wearing shorts, but I'd always recommend wearing bug spray to prevent some of those ticks from attaching, and always do a tick check when you get home. Even before that, when you start to leave the area, do a tick check, do multiple tick checks, and that's probably the easiest way to prevent any type of tick bite, is to do tick checks, while you're doing an activity, when you get back to your vehicle, and then again when you get home.
Can I ask you, why do we have ticks?
Who invented these things?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you an impossible question right now, because they're just nuisances.
I don't have a good answer.
I'm sure they have some kind of impact on the ecology.
Man, it is just
doesn't seem like a benefit to us.
Something else. Now, you've talked about a lot of different activities that you do, specifically at the Nature Center. Let's talk a little bit about camping. Is there any demonstrations there, or is there other places? Because we've kind of talked about camping this summer as well.
Yeah. So as far as camping, so at the Nature Center, for example, we occasionally put out a small kids tent in the exhibit area, in the puppet area, where kids can crawl in there and see. It's a rather small kids tent. but they can get in there and explore and play. And, we occasionally do some camping programs, beginner camping programs for the most part, as part of our series of Little Acorns for 3 to 6 year olds. We do one titled Let's Go Camping. We talk about some of the basics. We have several small tents that the kids can play in with different supplies that they might need. So we kind of introduce them to that. Then something that for the adults, we'll do like a backpacking program, that the presenter talks about different types of tents, for backpacking, if you're out for multiple days, on a trail.
That's awesome. When's the last time your whole family's been camping?
So
did it go okay? Because I think of sometimes I talk to some of my friends and they're like, well, we had to cut it early.
Well, they got a master resource. They were working with maybe some.
And his son's gonna fish and make sure he catches dinner for the whole family.
Yeah. That was their dinner plans.
So it's funny you should say that, because my younger son, I think it was last year, he was asking me to take him and his friends to the river somewhere and just drop them off for 3 days.
3 days?
Yeah.
We were going to say a couple hours.
And
you can live for 3 days.
And they just wanted to go on their own, camp on the riverbank with no food and just self-sustain.
Okay.
And I had to pull him back a little bit, bring him back into reality.
Yeah.
Of course, we have done it as a family, but I'll admit he's not ready for that.
A few beef sticks. I think they'll be fine.
There's a lot of people that are ready for that. Let me tell you something. You watch a TV show or you watch it on your phone and you're like, you know what? I think we could do that. I think we can live off the grid.
And by the end of the first day, they're all like,
you're like, I want to watch our show.
Like, my son's very confident.
Yeah. I need to get updates through social media.
They're teenage boys, so their confidence level is just through the roof.
Yeah, they're invincible.
Yeah.
So 3 days, whatever. We'll drink from the creek. Yeah.
So we had a long discussion about that.
So did you drop them off at all, or was it?
No, it turned into a totally different.
I didn't know if it was maybe
one day thing.
Turn into a couple hours, maybe even just to see how that goes. Just baby steps to get to 3 days.
Right.
I'm child number 6 of 7, so if I asked, my parents would be like, "Oh, I didn't even know you left." There's so many of us. Oh, good. I'm glad you returned. Yeah.
So, have you done a camping trip with all of your family members?
Yes. We didn't do it this year, but we like to go. That's one of our favorite things, is to camp on a gravel bar. So we'll take kayaks or canoes and find a nice gravel bar, pitch our tents, spend the night there, 1-2 nights, things like that. Which,
do you bring cushions for the gravel bar? I'm a little concerned right now. I'm thinking of a tent on the rock.
So if you're going in kayaks or canoes, everything has to fit in your kayak or your canoe.
Right,
so it's along the lines of backpacking. So if you can't get everything in a backpack, then it's probably not going to fit in the canoe.
So what do you choose then? Is it like, do you do like the air pad mattress things, or?
Yes, their air pads work the best because they're very compact as far as packing. Yeah.
Okay, but you do bring a mattress.
Yes, and I do. I
don't know why that's the only thing I'm worried about. You just said gravel bar, and I'm thinking like when we go camping, it's like usually just in regular grass.
Yeah.
Like a park, like there's an area, and even that's hard. Yeah. And then I'm thinking gravel bar's got to be even like shards of rock that you're just sleeping on.
Sometimes, but.
Yeah. But that's some great, because last time you were on the podcast, you were talking about some great memories that you had with your family, and I love to hear just the latest. Like if you're on a 30-day camping trip with the family, how'd that be?
No. Now it's, when we do a family reunion, it's more at the lake house. You rent an Airbnb on the lake, but
you get into
but we still, my immediate family, we still love to do those outdoor activities any chance we get. But this year's really been a struggle, as the kids get older.
Finding time.
Yeah. But I still have strong connections with my siblings, especially my nephews, which, years ago when my nephews before I had kids, when they were teenagers, there was 5 of them. I would invite them. I'd pick them up from Ohio, bring them here, and they'd spend 3 weeks with me during the summertime. And that's all we did is just camped, fished, did several different float trips on various rivers, that sort of thing. Awesome. And growing up, I mean, that's my dad and did that with our family. We spent so I'm from a large family. There's 9 of us total.
Got Navy.
Including my parents, so.
Wow.
Oh, wait, then we might be tied because there's 9 of us, including parents.
Okay, we're tied.
Well, good, because this was a competition.
It was, yeah. I almost got beat there.
So we didn't spend time on the gravel bar, but we would go to places like a state park, as a family, and we would spend the entire day there. We'd plan for it, and my folks would. We'd fish. We'd always play frisbee and kickball, baseball, big grassy area to do those type of activities. And then we'd always grill. I remember that. We always had, we grilled and had a really nice lunch and then continue activities, go fishing. But that's where I first met. I was like first grade, I think. I encountered a game warden. And so I met him, and, that kind of sparked something in me to where it's like, people do this for work.
Did he arrest you?
I know.
Did he ticket you?
No.
Okay. No. I didn't know how you ran into him.
No. He was checking my dad's permit, fishing permit. But, I mean, he was just talking about various things of fishing and all kinds of things. So every time we'd run into him, I would just listen. He had my full attention. And while I was there, I just grew into exploring more and more, the riverbank for aquatic life, seeing snakes, different birds, shorebirds and plants, looking out for poison ivy, all kinds of things. Some things I learned from him, but mostly, from my dad and my brother.
You couldn't Shazam those birds back in the day.
Not then.
Back in the day, no.
You can't.
No, but one day, I'm out rabbit hunting with my brother, and we hear something, and he turns and he's like, "Oh, that's an American goldfinch." And he would do this like all the time. And it's like, finally, I was like, "How do you know these birds?" And he's like, "Oh, I just know." Then years in our adult life, he told me, he said, "Well, during study hall, I would go and look in the encyclopedia and look up these birds." And that's how he learned all these different birds from the area. And I thought he was just the coolest brother in the world.
Or he was making it up.
Or he was making it up.
He was looking up the words of the birds.
Yeah, so he was my Merlin.
There you go. Yeah, that's awesome. So we talked about teenagers, but what would be your suggestion to get either families or younger kids involved with any kind of nature? Because you guys, as you talked about, have some really great programs at the Nature Center, but just in general, just to kind of start at step 1 and 2, what would you suggest?
Yeah. So, and I'm talking from firsthand experience too. So when our kids were infants, we always spent time outdoors. And one of the first things we would do is just in our backyard or front yard where we had grass. And as you're playing with your child, they're going to be, and any kid is like this, if you just give them the opportunity, they're curious.
Yes.
And they will start looking at the grass and they see movement. They'll see things that we don't see, and, take that opportunity to explore with them and learn with them. And investigate more. They found one. Let's see if we can find another worm or beetle that might be crawling through there. So, you can never start too early. And then as kids grow up and they start learning other things, then you can start including more structured kind of things like hiking different areas. The Nature Center is such a great opportunity because it's close to anywhere in Springfield, and the trails there, from anything from an eighth of a mile to 3 miles worth of hiking in 5 different ecosystems. So you're going to see different plants and wildlife, and different times of the year, you're going to see different wildlife as well. So another great opportunity to do some of that exploration. Busick State Park, Busick State Forest, I'm sorry, you go there, it's like halfway between here and Busick. This time of year, go there, and right near the parking lot, there's a creek, and you can explore the water. It's shallow, great time for kids any age to, explore the water, aquatic insects, so it's a great opportunity just to play, have that playtime outside, whenever you can, and kids will direct you, they'll tell you what they like, they will.
They sure will.
Next time they'll take their squirt gun, and fill it up, and you'll have squirt gun fights.
Well, Rudy Martinez, we really appreciate you being on here, and what you do is so great. And I always love getting the updates of the family and camping trips and just nature in general. And we really appreciate you being here.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.